rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, you know, I was thinking about it here earlier today. And, I recall, I can go back. Now, granted, I wasn't alive for some of this, but I can recall when our politics, meaning America's politics, people would do anything and everything to keep scandals out of the media. I mean, you had things like JFK, who was the darling of the Democrat Party. Young, handsome, everybody, very well liked. Everybody, loved him and loved the whole idea of the Camelot kind of thing with the Kennedys. And so they covered up all of JFK's extramarital affairs, even while he was in the White House. There's rumors and stories of things like Marilyn Monroe being sneaked into the White House at times. All of those things. And the worst scandal of all was, of course, Watergate. Watergate was the worst. Everybody, oh my gosh, everybody. Oh, Watergate. Well, whether Nixon was involved or not. And that was over just a simple little break-in, to be honest with you. Had really, other than obviously breaking and entering, which today is absolutely low in terms of the criminal priorities. Yeah. Yeah, so many people are like, yeah. Anyway, just thinking about all the politics, all of the people that we have now that are coming out as political candidates. For example, that guy in Maine. I'll get to him in just a moment. Plus, the governor of New Jersey says what everybody already knew out loud with regards to the ICE protests. And we'll get to that one in just a few minutes as well. But first, let's go ahead and get things kicked off by none other. This is one of our favorites, one of the fan favorites of the Whiskey Warriors. None other than Coco, Cam, and Sean. They are in the green room over there getting themselves ready. I can see Sean. He's getting himself all set and ready to go because we all know Sean gets really excited about reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Coco, Cam, and, of course, the beloved Sean, as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Coco, Cam, and Sean, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the Pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the Pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, and then address that email to me. Send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I have 24 out of the 26 that I'm looking for. I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. So if you would please, if you haven't done it yet, please submit your pledge at your earliest convenience. And if you use your phone, you can use the share option. That's the SHARE option. You could share it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation as soon as possible. For tonight's headline sponsor, I'm wearing one of their fabulous America-themed shirts. This is one of the men's cotton polos. And that is from theflagshirt.com. I know you guys are sitting here wondering, wait a minute, well, there's all that white space in there. Well, they were updating, apparently they were updating their website and they never got rid of the banner that was sitting here for Memorial Day. Memorial Day's over, fellas. So, yeah, maybe the code may still work. I don't know, but I'm not going to advertise it. Anyway, head on over to theflagshirt.com. Check out all of their patriotic styles, men's, women's, kids, made in the USA, America 250. Don't forget that. And you can also check out their Made in America collection. You can see all of the Made in the USA products that they have. Go and head on over to theflagshirt.com. Find all of these fantastic styles, colors, accessories. I mean, get yourself geared up for that 250th anniversary celebration coming up in just a little over 32 days. We are on the count. 32 days is all that is left. Well, 32 days, a little plus. That's all that's left to the 250th anniversary of our independence. Of course, we celebrated on July 4th. That's our Independence Day. But anyway, get yourself patriotized by going to theflagshirt.com, checking out all of their patriotic styles and things of that nature. And I'm fairly certain that if you order $75 or more of their product, they will give you free shipping. Head on over to theflagshirt.com and get patriotized like I am. All right. Well, folks, the leftist lunatics are at it again, only this time they're actually on the opposite coast. See, most of the time you'll hear about the leftist lunatics attacking the ICE place in Portland, Oregon. That one has commonly been in the news, but now, it's New Jersey. And New Jersey, the New Jersey governor has finally said the truth out loud. See, those of us in the know, that's right, those of us in the know, we are very well aware of the fact that it's outside agitators who are causing the problem. Well, Mikey Sherrill, or Mikey Sherrill, I don't know how it's pronounced. Anyway, she has now stated, and she said this Saturday, she said that people are coming from out of state to protest the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Newark, and that they are creating a dangerous situation. No kidding. She said at a press conference, quote, "We know that people from outside the state have been interfering in the protests and escalating them. 5 of the 6 people arrested last night by state police were from outside New Jersey." You think? You know, the left spent so much time and energy trying to demonstrate or prove or, well, lie, propagandize, and say, no, this is grassroots protesting. These are people who have come here to protest this ICE facility in their neighborhood. Yeah, sure. Sure. So basically what it is, these are paid agitators. I mean, let's just be honest here. They're paid agitators. They're coming from all over. In fact, you know, as we on the right have pointed out, there are several of these protests that have occurred over the past, you know, I don't know, several years at least. These people have been bussed in from elsewhere, and that they are being paid to spend their time to do this. And they apparently, well, they're masked. Oh, yeah, you can't, ICE agents can't mask themselves to prevent being doxxed, but oh my gosh, these people absolutely have the right to. Sure. Anyway, masked individuals attacked the barrier in the protest area and took aggressive and dangerous actions against the Newark police and state police, Cheryl said in a post on X on Sunday. Yeah, protesters threw projectiles at police, used the barriers as weapons, lit tires on fire in the streets, the governor said. Cheryl said that some national extremist groups have been involved in the Whoa, hold up, wait. I thought the only extremists, according to the left, were those who were on the right. You know, those peaceful Christian groups. I thought those were the only extremists. You know, the extreme MAGA Republicans. Yeah, I thought Antifa was just an idea. Yeah. Well, Cheryl she is now taking the brunt of essentially what has been caused by her and her side. Literally. She said in a quote, she's like, to the people coming out from out of state to create chaos and dangerous situations, you should not be here. Oh, wait, I thought they were okay with aliens coming in. I mean, illegal aliens coming in. Oh, yeah, well, this is just a set of hypocrisy here, which is no stranger to the left. Anyway, she continues and she says, you are not helping the people detained at Delaney Hall. You are not helping detainee families. And you are certainly not keeping New Jersey safe. Yeah. Well, the Border Patrol and ICE agents that were holding that facility, that are working at that facility, well, they apparently called out for help. This is the story that I understand it. They called out for help from the state police, local police agencies, National Guard for a couple of nights. Their requests fell on deaf ears up until the point that the ICE director, CBP director, DHS secretary, I guess, basically said, hey, look, if you don't help these agents, we're going to pull agents from Newark Airport, and you will no longer be able to process international flights coming into the airport. That was the suggestion over the weekend. And I use the term suggestion loosely. Yeah. Well, finally, Cheryl said, okay, fine, we'll take care of it. And she ordered the New Jersey State Police to go in and restore order outside the facility. She says, ICE engagement creates an incredibly dangerous situation. It makes the situation worse, and I refuse to back down in fighting the Trump administration and the threats they've made. Yet, her decision to bring in the state police was made after Mark Wayne Mullen warned that if the states don't protect ICE operations, they risk interrupting international flights at their airports, as I just described. Mullen said that on May 29th. He mentioned that New Jersey's local law enforcement did not respond to calls for aid at the Delaney detention facility. Yeah. So there you go. Now, the Democrats are claiming that detainee treatment at Delaney Hall has been, really bad. Well, the government has said, no, that's not the case. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you get picked up and you go to jail, you don't get the opportunity to choose your meals. This isn't like you're heading on a plane or someplace where you can pay for your meals ahead of time and choose what it is that you want to eat. Nope. That's not how this works. Now, the people inside were complaining about the fact that they weren't being allowed, they weren't being given the opportunity to see visitors and things of that nature. Well, part of that is because of the fact that here's protesters outside who are getting violent, and it's instead of escalating the situation, they're trying to keep people safe by not letting anybody in. Not to mention the fact that the new DHS secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, pointed out that the detention facility in New Jersey is holding murderers, rapists, pedophiles, and serious criminals that the Democrats have let go on their streets with their light on crime policies. Yeah. Mullen said last week, quote, "This isn't a Holiday Inn. We're not providing luxury housing. We're providing a sanitary place for them to be detained." Exactly. Yeah. These Democrats, I'm telling you. Well, they're not going to drop the idea that they don't give a crap about Americans, that they don't care about American citizens. Senator Andy Kim, who is a Democrat from New Jersey, he called for prioritizing criminal illegal migrants being held at the ICE center. He called them the Democrats' North Star. The Democrats' North Star. So they place the Democrats up higher than citizens, of course. Yeah. Andy Kim posted on X. Here's his post. You can take a look at it here. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. There we go. He says, Delaney Hall has caused so much chaos and frustration. People in my state don't want to see these abuses in our backyard and on our dime. What abuses? These people aren't even supposed to be here. See, that's the problem. The Democrats seem to think that, oh, yeah, you should just ignore laws. That's what they do. Oh, ignore the laws until it's a Republican or a Christian or a conservative or a white male or a pick one. Yeah. He says, we don't want to see these abuses in our backyard and on our dime. He says the detainees and their families need to be our North Star. We will fight to secure dignity for them because that's who we are in America. No, the only dignity that they need, Mr. Kim, is to be kicked out. No passing go, no collecting 200, and just go. Just get out. You already violated our laws by coming in through a border. You need to go. Bye-bye. Get the heck out. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know where these Democrats are coming from. I don't know where these people are coming from. Well, other New Jersey Democrats, apparently, such as Representative Frank Pallone, and Ro Menendez, also from New Jersey, both of them also Democrats, have also called for prioritizing migrants' needs above those of American citizens. Now, I have a question. Question. Mr. President. No, not Mr. President, but question. The question is, why would you run to represent people who, wait 1 minute, can't even vote for you? I'm confused. I mean, I know you hate Democrats. I know you hate Americans. I get that. You leftist lunatics, I know you hate America. You want us to be some socialist utopia that has essentially never existed in the entire history, with the exception of in theories. In reality, it never presents itself. But every time somebody tells you that, you immediately say, well, it's never been implemented correctly. Yeah. There's this thing known as human greed. Human ethics, morals, standards. You know, those things that we used to take as a regular thing. You know, we used to always think that people had ethics, morals, standards, integrity, honor, honesty, responsibility, accountability. Yeah, all of that stuff that made Western civilization, respect for the rule of law, all a part of everything that we deal with here in the United States. But no, not anymore. Not anymore. Because apparently the Democrats have just said, to hell with it. We're just going to burn this place down. And we don't even care who we use to do it. Because we don't have any moral standards, ethics, integrity, honor, honesty, responsibility, or accountability anymore. And this is what brings me to tonight's headline topic, which is basically that our politics are demonstrating our degradation in our societal norms. See, folks, I can recall, and realistically, it wasn't that long ago because it's been within my lifetime, when you would have some sort of a political scandal and it would ruin your political career. And it didn't even have to be something that made any sense or any difference to anyone who might have even been a part of it. For an example, there was a guy back in 1972 by the name of Thomas Eagleton. Thomas Eagleton. He was a Democratic candidate for vice president. He ended up leaving his candidacy, or his candidacy. He ended up leaving it. He dropped from the vice presidential ticket 18 days after he was selected due to an undisclosed electroshock therapy health for depression. Now, why? When you look back at something like that, you're going, oh my gosh, what the hell? I mean, shit, Biden had dementia. And nobody gave a crap about his mental stability. Why would this? Oh, hey, I went in for electroshock therapy for depression. I did that to try and get myself fixed, corrected, healthy. And, yeah. And now I have to drop from the presidential or vice presidential campaign. I got to drop from that ticket because of the fact that, I had treatment for an illness. Yeah. Gosh forbid, the guy actually tried to get help for a mental problem that he had, and that immediately made him drop. Oh. Let's go a little bit further, closer in. 1987, there was a guy by the name of Gary Hart. He was also a Democrat. He withdrew from the presidential race after the Miami Herald exposed an extramarital affair with Donna Rice. Yeah. Oh, I had an extramarital affair. Apparently, nobody cares about that anymore because, hell, Biden had an extramarital affair and ended up with Jill. Yeah. Well, at least that's the claim. I don't know if that actually happened or not. Who knows? Anyway. And let's not forget Hunter Biden's, all of his shenanigans. Yeah. That, Hunter Biden alone with just what was found on that laptop, which, by the way, I got something on that too. What was found on that laptop should have sunk Joe Biden's career forever. And yet he's still, you can even see Jill trying to repair the damage. Oh, let's talk none other than 2008. Another good-looking potential darling for the Democrat Party in the name of John Edwards. That's right. John Edwards ended his presidential campaign after admitting to an extramarital affair and fathering another child out of wedlock, later acquitted of campaign finance charges, but his career was completely destroyed by something like that. Yeah. It's just, never mind that one. And then we have Anthony Weiner. In 2011 and 2013, he had to resign. He's another Democrat darling. He had to resign from Congress in 2011. And a 2013 New York City mayoral campaign, which collapsed after it was revealed that he was sexting. That's right. Sexting. For those of you that don't know what sexting is by now, look it up in Urban Dictionary. Anyway, then we have a guy in 2017 by the name of Ray Moore. This is the one Republican that's on this little short list that I have here. He lost the U.S. Senate special election after multiple allegations of sexual misconduct with minors surfaced during the campaign. Now, keep in mind, that was allegations. Now, we're not talking about the wiener that's in California who likes wieners, literally, especially the younger they are, the better off they are in his mind. But anyway, I digress. Ray Moore, yeah, he lost because of just mere allegations. And then, of course, there's the Katie Hill resignation in 2019. She was a Democrat. She resigned from Congress amid scandals involving inappropriate relationships with a staffer and nude photo leaks, which ended her rising political trajectory. So, yeah. Folks, when you look at stuff like this and you think, okay, that was just, all right, we have just a smattering, let's say, of political scandals, but all of these, all the way up to, 2019, We're now in 2026. And there's a guy up in Maine who's running for Senate, U.S. Senate, who has done not one of these things, but at least 3 offenses right now. And the guy is still in the running. You got to ask yourself, why? So first of all, this guy was demonstrated to have a Nazi tattoo. Yes, I'm talking about Graham Plattner. He has a Nazi tattoo. He swears up and down he got it in the military. Didn't know what it meant. Yeah, okay. I doubt it. Because trust me, whenever you go to ink something, you really want to know what it means before you put it on your body. That's kind of permanent. Well, at least in a semi-permanent fashion, because apparently he's had it removed since then. Well, then he goes and is his username, which he admits to having on Reddit, unearths, folks, look, if there's anything on the internet, trust me, it is there forever. You cannot get rid of it. But all of a sudden, he admits to the fact that when he goes into the Porta-Johns because of his time in the service, when he goes into the Porta-Johns, the blue goo that keeps it smelling halfway decent, I'm being told he had it covered over, made into something else. But anyway, that blue goo that's in the Porta-Johns is what gets him sexually excited, and he has to pleasure himself every time he walks into a Porta-John. Oh, well, thank you for making your sexual exploits or your masturbation policies public. We appreciate that. No, we don't. Then it goes on from there. Apparently, he also, on the same Reddit board or something similar to it, he admitted to the fact that he is glad that a United States soldier was killed by the Taliban in Afghanistan. That was attached to a video that he actually was commenting on, a video of a United States soldier getting killed. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am a former soldier. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't care who it is. It could be my worst enemy. It could be somebody that I literally hate. And if they were killed by the Taliban, there is no way in hell that I would ever celebrate something like that, nor would I comment on celebrating something like that. Because no matter what happens, there is not one single person in this world that deserves to be killed, and especially not a brother in arms. Well, as if any of that. Now, if you think about everything that I just told you from 1972 all the way up to 2019, here we're talking 7 years ago, not even a full 7 years. Okay. But 7 years ago, somebody just ends up dropping out of the race because they, had an affair with a staffer. And trust me, that's even happened here in the 2020s as well. Okay? But all of that being said, you would think that any one of these scandals would drop Graham Plattner like a freaking rock. But no. Not a single one of those has done anything. Well, the newest scandal that comes from the Graham Plattner Greatest Hits album is apparently while married, he was on a dating app called Kik, K-I-K. The name, the username, matches up with the man's Instagram username. Very similar, very connected. And up until the point that Graham Plattner finally said, hey, you know what? That's me. Well, he was sexting with, I've heard the numbers, between 6 to 10 other women while he was married. Now, keep in mind, okay, even just in modern history, extramarital affairs are frowned upon. In fact, one of the things that the left keep bringing up is Donald Trump and all of the marriages that he has had and all the women that he has had. And, oh my gosh, he cheated on Ivana, and all this other stuff. Oh, and he needs to get out of politics. Yet not a single one of them is calling for Graham Plattner to disappear. Well, the whole thing about the sexting, that came out here recently, but there's a new twist in it. The newest twist is that there was a gentleman. Oh, and I'm sorry. I said 6 to 10. I now see that there was at least 12. Who the hell knows how many numbers? Anyway, this guy. Anyway. So, apparently one of his former campaign aides by the name of Genevieve McDonald, she quit the campaign after Plattner's racist and anti-Semitic Reddit posts were exposed. Now, that was another thing I didn't even mention. Yeah, that's another thing that went right along with his Nazi tattoo that he had on his chest. Anyway. So, this individual, former campaign aide, did an exclusive with the New York Times, confirming information that was placed in the Wall Street Journal on Saturday. Now, normally this isn't that big of a deal. I mean, you know that whenever there's one, you get that drip, and then next thing you know, you have a crack in the dam, and then all of a sudden the water just starts gushing out. Well, that's pretty much what's happening here, because every single time you turn around, there's something new about Graham Plattner. But the Wall Street Journal broke the sexting case, and according to Genevieve McDonald, she was actually asked, hey, can you confirm some of this stuff? And she said yes. And then she went and did an exclusive with the New York Times, confirming that yes, everything that's in the Wall Street Journal is correct. Now, here's the thing. Apparently, Genevieve McDonald was also offered money. I believe it was something like in the realm of $15,000 to sign a non-disclosure agreement to keep this stuff under wraps. And, of course, the Democrats are going around and now blaming Genevieve McDonald, saying that it is a vendetta against the campaign and Plattner. Even though Genevieve McDonald is just the front woman, the name, along with there were several other verifications that were undisclosed as a part of this. Well, Plattner's own wife went to social media, posted a video saying that, yes, we don't have the perfect marriage. We don't have the perfect marriage. We were going to counseling. We were going to counseling because Graham had some serious problems, mental issues, when he came out of the service. Now, understand, I'm not necessarily disparaging that, because whenever you're a soldier and you go off to combat, which my understanding is Graham Plattner is a combat veteran. But when you go off to combat, there are things that no person should ever have to deal with in a mental capacity with regards to all of this. But anyway, they have decided to go ahead and attack this woman who is literally just saying the truth. Anyway, Plattner, I don't even know why this guy's still in the race. I mean, why? You know, the Democrats sit on their high horse, and yes, I am going to call them out. The Democrats sit on their high horse and they complain about all the stuff about Donald Trump. They complain about all the stuff. I mean, even like Matt Gaetz, unproven, unverified reports. And they want to destroy these men's candidacies, and yet you have a guy who has literally admitted to just about everything that has come out about him, and nobody seems to want to say anything about it. In fact, many of the Senate Democrats, for an example, Andy Kim, you remember that Andy Kim guy from the ICE raids? Yeah, that Andy Kim. Mm-hmm. He was asked twice about Graham Plattner by Dana Bash on CNN. Dana Bash goes, "Do you have any concerns about Graham Plattner?" Kim says, "I haven't been able to focus as much on this. Voters will decide." Bash is like, "What do you think?" Kim says, "I have not met him." Avoiding the question entirely. He continued on and said, "From my standpoint, I will work with whoever the people of Maine elect, but I hope that they elect somebody that is going to stand up to this president and work with me to be able to fight back against all these dangers." And there it is, folks. The Democrats don't give a damn if the person that they are working with is an Islamist extremist, is a Nazi sympathizer, is an anti-Semitic individual. Both of those are usually rolled up into one. An adulterer, a corrupt individual, a thief, a coward, whatever. They don't care. They just don't care, because they want nothing but to destroy America. That is who they're after. And as I've always pointed out, the Democrats can have their own little infighting. I mean, all these groups have their own little infighting. They all do. But the fact of the matter is if you are an enemy of the Democrat Party and their anti-American, destroy America Marxist agenda, they will embrace you as though you were their blood brother, because they, or sister, or whatever of the 50,000 genders that are out there, according to them. Because they will hang on to you as though you are gold until your usefulness is no longer a positive for them. So, yeah. Well, Andy Kim isn't the only one. The dumbass in Connecticut by the name of Senator Chris Murphy was on Face the Nation on CBS, was asked about Plattner and goes, I mean, I have not followed this story as closely as others have, but Graham Plattner is somebody that served our country. He served his community, and he's also made mistakes, and he's admitted that. Character also involves standing up to people who are bankrupting and corrupting this country. And this race is going to be a contrast between somebody that has put his life on the line for this country against somebody that is literally empowering the moral hollowing out of our nation from the White House. Okay, wait a minute. Moral hollowing out of our nation. Did you catch that? The moral hollowing out of our nation. Now let's talk about that for a second. The moral hollowing out. This guy has no morals. He's said racist stuff. He at one point was a Nazi sympathizer. Probably still is. He's put in anti-Semitic posts. He openly talks about his sex exploits in porta-johns. He's, gone and tried to woo women outside of his marriage. You want to talk about morality? And you're going to put Graham Plattner's name in with the word morality? He would be the best example as to what you don't want for morality. It is exactly his actions and the things that he does that is a perfect example as to the moral rot and decay that the Democrat Party, the leftist lunatics, the idiots, the complete, utter, stupid morons of the left have decided to take on this country in order to bring down the Judeo-Christian values and principles that built this nation from the beginning. Democrats have been against family values. They've been against the fathers in the homes. They want everybody to not lean on community, but to lean on the state, which is a Marxist principle. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Anyway, Chris Murphy continued on. So he certainly admitted he has made mistakes. But I think this is going to be a pretty clear contrast in Maine between somebody who has spent his life protecting us versus somebody who seems to be protecting Donald Trump's corruption, which, I would actually like to understand. Where is Donald Trump's corruption? Where is it? Where's the evidence? Where is your hard, verified facts? Where is your spreadsheets that demonstrate that Donald Trump is corrupted? Because as of now, all I have seen is a bunch of innuendo, a bunch of suggestions, and a bunch of made-up shit. Sorry for the swear. All it is just made-up stuff. All of this. Yeah. Now, this is going to be scary here, people. What's scary about this is that it's Cory Booker. Yes, Spartacus himself. At least he was somewhat honest in this. Oh, my gosh. Yes, I know. Everybody's like, oh, my God. I said Graham Plattner, Chris Murphy, Andy Kim, they all love him. No, they just say that they don't know him that well, which to me is something like, well, maybe you should pay attention a little bit more. Anyway, Senator Cory Booker told ABC News or ABC's, I should say, not ABC News, but ABC's This Week. He said, well, I have concerns, and that Plattner has questions to answer, and that's what campaigns are for. Booker said, quote, but when I go all over New Jersey and see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans losing their health care and millions more seeing their health care costs go up, as I have families who say I can't afford gas for my car and child care for my children. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Child care? Hold on. Child care? Isn't that like a moral thing that Graham Plattner should probably be paying attention to? I mean, wouldn't that indicate like a family unit that the Democrats hate? Anyway, I digress. He goes, he continues and says, I know that so much is riding on Democrats taking control of the Senate. Yeah. Well, there also is one other guy, Auchincloss, Jacob Auchincloss from Massachusetts, also a Democrat. He said, and I quote, "I said months ago I find Plattner's Nazi tattoo and his commentary about it personally disqualifying. If it were me, I'd vote for someone else in the Maine Democratic primary. Regardless of what happens in Maine, Democrats need to take back the Senate, and I'll keep working hard to make that happen." And he wrote that on X. Yeah. Now, what's funny as in horrible, not as in haha, but Graham Plattner his rise to meteoric stardom here, before all of these scandals came out, the Democrats had a much more proven candidate who was already vetted, was already figured out, could have had basically, I don't know if she's scandal free, but all of the scandals have apparently already gone away because she's already been in government. She is the governor of Maine. Governor Janet Mills. She dropped out of the primary in April, right as Plattner was getting ready to move up, even though his scandals started stacking up. Now, here's the thing. Mills had the backing of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Plattner was backed by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Now, if that tells you anything, which it should, that gives you an idea of what is going on with the Democrat Party. Now, what's interesting about all of this is there actually is a possibility that Graham Plattner, even if he wins the nomination, he could get Kamala Harris. He could get kicked out. Actually, it should be Joe Biden. But there is apparently an obscure Maine election provision that could mean that Graham Plattner could get kicked if the party decides that his candidacy is kind of a pain in the butt. So a Sunday report from Fox News reminded them that even if Plattner advances to the November general election, that party officials still have the ability to unilaterally declare their own preferred candidate for the seat. Now, there obviously has been, speculation due to all of Plattner's skeletons showing up. And every time you turn around, there's a new skeleton. But apparently, in Maine, there is a possibility that they could simply appoint, meaning Democratic Maine party officials could simply appoint their own candidate for the position. So the deadline for Plattner to drop out, while the provision is still active, is July 13th. Maine Democrats at that point would still have 2 weeks to recruit and appoint a new candidate completely independent of the desires of the Maine voters. Don't be surprised if that may occur, if Plattner's scandals continue to stack up. All right. Well, let's step out of Maine for a minute and Graham Plattner, and let's move on to something a little more national. So Trump apparently has a United States Postal Service mail ballot verification plan that he's trying to put into place. On Friday, the USPS proposed sweeping new rules that would require states to submit voter names, addresses, and unique ballot barcodes for federal elections, giving the federal government real teeth to verify that mail ballots are going to and coming back from actual eligible voters. Now, Trump signed the executive order himself, which he has been doing quite often. So unfortunately, though, and by the way, the proposed rule follows the blueprint and finally adds accountability in a process that is operated largely on the honor system. States would be required to submit voter lists tied to unique barcodes on every single outbound and return ballot envelope. The United States Postal Service would then compare those ballots sent against the ballots returned and flag any discrepancies for further investigation. It's kind of a basic chain of custody of sorts. The rule, of course, would also standardize election mail logos, envelope design reviews, and state-specific participation lists managed through a new federal ballot mail portal. Ballots that do not meet the new standards or are not tied to a state-submitted voter list could be rejected before they even reach election offices. The Democrats, by the way, are already lining up to try and take this to court. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer reached for his usual script, saying mail-in voting is safe and secure, period. This new rule is just another malicious attempt by the Trump administration to suppress the votes of millions and try to throw out the election results. Well, Chucky, boy, I got something for you. I know something that does actually suppress voting. Fire. That's right. Fire. So, folks, tomorrow is Los Angeles City's mayoral primary. And there's a real good chance that Spencer Pratt could advance to the general election. Now, that has scared the crap out of the Democrats, of course. But shenanigans apparently have already started, as election officials in LA County are looking into two separate incidences that are already ahead of tomorrow's election. Apparently, a bunch of mail-in ballots were torched at the Department of Public Social Services in downtown LA. There also was a vandalism incident at the voting center at the Cesar E. Chavez Park that they are investigating. So, I thought that elections were safe and secure. I thought that they weren't being screwed with. Yeah, okay. Well, ballots apparently were found burned inside of a ballot box. Air 7 video captured video of the ballot box, which was located near the Civic Center in downtown LA. Election officials discovered a small number of vote-by-mail ballots with fire damage in the drop box on Sunday morning and filed a report with the Los Angeles Police Department. And then, of course, in a separate incident, also on Sunday morning, sorry, my bad, it's Sunday morning, elections officials spotted vandalism at a vote center located at the Cesar E. Chavez Park. Officials said voting operations were not disrupted. Yeah. Investigators are looking into both cases and are working to identify any voters who may have been affected. Voters whose ballots may have been impacted by the fire will be contacted directly and provided information about available options, including replacement ballots if necessary. So, yeah. Yeah. Apparently, there's at least somebody who is concerned that Pratt may win the primary in LA. Alrighty, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or in the case of 3 Chevy, a thumb sideways or in an angle across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.